So look, since we're talking about fantasy football, let's go ahead and stay in this realm, and let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the week here, the rest of the weekend, all these games that we have going on. Like I said, Chris and I are making picks and things that we think are going to happen. We stayed pretty much the same in most of this. Like I said, we both picked the Raiders to win. And how about Justin Herbert having an unbelievable game and Derek Carr having a significant groin injury and going out? There was a Marcus Mariota sighting. Two Ducks going at it, and Herbert comes out with the win. But Mariota might have played himself into a job somewhere next year. I don't know. I can't remember if he signed a multi-year contract with the Raiders or if it was a one-year deal. But there are probably going to be some teams that might come calling that are just struggling right now. But hey, proves that you need to have a good backup quarterback there just in case you have problems, just in case that there's an issue. You need to have somebody there to back you up to make sure you've got a decent roster going on right there. So shout out to them for that. So then we have the 4-9 Panthers going to the 10-3 Green Bay Packers. So obviously the Panthers are at the bottom of the NFC. And at this point, there's nothing really to play for. You're just playing your young guys. You're trying to get like Brian Burns, who's trying to get into the Pro Bowl. You're giving some guys like Mike Davis and Bridgewater. You're just giving them some run. But, you're not trying to win at this point, unless it's a Matt Rule thing where you're just trying to create a good atmosphere heading into next year, where you're sitting right now at 4-9 and you're thinking, hey, let's finish at 7-9. Let's not completely rule out winning a few games and just have a good, mojo going into next. I can't believe I just used the word mojo, but just having a good feel about things going into next season. But everything, I guess I played too much Madden, because in my mind, I'm like, you're already at 4-9. Do as bad as you can almost. Play your young guys. Do whatever. Don't get your old guys hurt. Don't play McCaffrey anymore. Take your guys out, give them some rest, and just get as high of a draft pick as you can, and hopefully you can rebuild your team that way. I guess I've been watching too much of the 76ers basketball, where I'm all about trust the process these days. I've been shouting that all year for the Patriots, that if we're not going to make the playoffs and we're not going to make a serious contention, lose so we can have a chance at a really good quarterback like a Justin Fields or, a Trey Lance or something. But no, we decide we're going to wing it with Cam Newton and see if we can prove the world wrong. The Belichick can coach, and I think Belichick can. It's just I don't think Cam can, but whatever. And then we got the 8-5 Bucks going to the 4-9 Atlanta Falcons. Once again, same principle. The Panthers and the Falcons are having a race to see who can finish at the bottom of the NFC. So the Bucks need this. All right, the Bucks need this right now. They need to win this game. So they obviously cannot win their division. The Saints have already locked that up, but they're sitting at 8-5 right now. It means that they're in the 6th seed. They are in the 6th seed right now. So that is not the spot that they want to be in, because it's the top 7 teams are going to make it, but they've got to play in. So that's not where Tom Brady and the guys want to be, because it's proven history with Tom Brady that he does a lot better if you can get a first round bye rather than being on the road in the first round or just having to play all the way through. Because at 8-5 they might get a home game, but I don't think they will at this point, because it looks like we've got the Rams ahead of them. The Washington footballers at 6-7, since they're going to be a division winner, probably they're going to be ahead of them. And then the number 5 seed is the Seattle Seahawks at 9-4. So I don't know. Obviously the Bucks just want to win and again get a good feeling heading into the playoffs, because they need everything they can get. In my personal opinion, I think Arians is coaching for his job. I really believe that. I believe that if he does not do well, and by well, I mean probably conference championship, the way that Tom has played this year, the way the team has just been so up and down, and the fact that Arians needs 20 assistants because he's trying to cut back on the amount of work he has to do, I would not be shocked to see the Bucks move on from him and try to find a younger guy who's probably more capable of doing what they're looking for. And then we see that I called for the Cowboys to beat the 49ers. I don't know what I was thinking on that one. And then we have the 5-8 Lions going to the 9-4 Titans. I don't even think this is a competition. The Titans are going to run over this. The Titans are in the 4 seed. I think they'd like to put a little pressure on the Bills and try to see if they can get that 3 seed. At this point, there's no way, unless the Steelers continue to just plummet as they have been the last few weeks, unless something miraculous happens in Cincinnati this weekend. There's no way that the Titans are going to, or the Bills are probably going to be able to jump all the way up to the 2nd seed, or maybe the Bills could if the Steelers continue to lose, but there's probably no chance that the Titans, being 2 games back, that they're going to be able to jump that high up. But they're definitely playing to get as a good of a position as they can, because they're probably going to want to be able to get that 3 seed, so they might eventually end up playing against the Steelers rather than the Chiefs, because everybody's probably at this point trying to avoid the Chiefs for as long as they can. So we've got the 4-9 Texans against the 9-4 Colts. We've got this log jam right now in the AFC, where the Titans, the Browns, and the Colts are all at 9-4. The Colts are in 2nd place in their division, tied. I mean, they have a tied record, but they obviously lost the head-to-head. So they're in 2nd place in the AFC South. So they're competing to see if they can win their division to get a home game. That's where they're at. So the Colts are definitely going to push the Texans on this one. The Texans, you would normally say you just want to lose because you want the highest draft pick, but hey, they don't have that draft pick. The Dolphins have that draft pick. So again, the Dolphins are hoping they lose. We got the 6-7 Patriots at the 8-5 Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to take it. The Dolphins are sitting at the 7 seed. They're trying to make sure that they can stay in the playoffs. That's their goal right now. They're going to do whatever they can to make sure that they stay in the playoffs. And the Patriots, like I said, they're going to do everything they can to play spoiler and knock them out. But I don't know. I think the Dolphins at this point definitely have the more talented roster. Brian Flores is a pretty good coach, man. Regardless of what Chris says about firing him, Brian Flores is a pretty good coach. So I think that'll probably work out pretty well for them. The 6-7 Chicago Bears, 6-7 Chicago Bears against the 6-7 Minnesota Vikings. So they are both on what you would consider the bubble right now. They're both sitting there, same record. The Vikings, I guess, hold the head-to-head because they are in 2nd place and the Bears are in 3rd place. They are both in the bubble, about 1 game out. The Cardinals are ahead of them at 7-6. They're both 1 game out of the playoffs. They're both fighting for a chance to get in there. I personally think that the Vikings will win the game. I think Trubinsky's a decent quarterback, but I don't think he's enough to necessarily get him over that hurdle, and I would love for him to prove me wrong, but that's just where I stand on that one. I think the Vikings are going to push the Cardinals and make the Cardinals pretty uncomfortable, but we'll see about that. Then we get to the 9-4 Seattle Seahawks against the 6-7 1st place in their division Washington football team. I just think as good as that Washington defense has played with no Alex Smith this weekend and they're starting Dwayne Haskins, I think Russ and the guys are just going to run through that game. And then, of course, we get to the 1-12. Do I even need to bother to say the record at this point? It's the Jaguars. They're playing at the Ravens. There's no question the Ravens are going to win that. But sitting where they are right now, let's see, where are the Ravens? The Ravens are at 8-5. That means they are the 8th seed. They are hoping to win and hoping the Patriots can never have a Ravens team ever pull for the Patriots, but they're probably pulling for them this weekend because if they can leapfrog the Dolphins, and they might be able to get into the playoffs. And I know that's their entire goal right now. They've gone all in on their roster with trades and signings and everything they could. They've done everything they could to make that defense just unbelievable. But it's just their offense can't seem to keep up at this point. I mean, they've done unbelievable signings, Ngakoue and re-signing all their cornerbacks and keeping Matthew Judon for another year, getting Calais Campbell in there. I mean, their defense is somewhat scary. But their offense, I guess, at points can be predictable, even though we saw that as soon as Lamar Jackson lightened his load, the other day, he just ran all over the Browns. So Kevin Stefanski and them better figure out how to fix that coming up. Then we have the Jets, who, of course, are going to lose on purpose to the Rams, and the Rams sitting at 8-5. They are in the 3rd seed. Excuse me. They are not 8-5. They are 9-4, and they are sitting in 3rd seed. And they're going to do everything they can to maintain that. And they're hoping that the Saints lose this weekend to the Chiefs so that they can leapfrog them hopefully and get into the 2nd seed. We'll see how that goes. The Cardinals at home against the Eagles. I picked the Cardinals to win that game, but everything about my fantasy team needs Jalen Hurts to have an unbelievable game. Do you know how bad I'm doing in fantasy when I am starting Jalen Hurts? Because before him, I was starting Taysom Hill. That's how bad my quarterback game has been this year. I have Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford. And, in years past, I may not like those guys and think they're ultra talented, but they've usually been enough to carry you, as long as you got good skill positions. And this year they have just absolutely failed me. And then, of course, we've got the 12-1 Chiefs trying to maintain first place. I think they're going to beat the Saints, even with Drew Brees back. I think that they're going to beat them, which is going to throw the NFC into some fun chaos to see what happens there. And then we've got the Browns on the road against the Giants. As good as Joe Judge has done, I think the Browns are going to win that game, which they needed. And not like I said, they're in that log jam at 9-4. They're sitting in the 5th seed right now, and they're trying to see how high they can move up. Which obviously, they can't go up too far unless the Steelers completely fall, because the Steelers are going to win that division, and then the Steelers are playing at Cincinnati. Like I said, unless Roethlisberger goes down, there's no way in the world that the Steelers should lose that game with no Burrow playing for the Bengals. So that's kind of where we are heading into this weekend. I'm ready. I'm excited for the playoffs. I'm not excited about my fantasy team right now, but I am super, super excited about the playoffs.